and she wept in front of me.
Yeah.
Right? So how do you resolve something like that? Right? You don't. I can't.
Hello, my name is Yen Ping,
And I am Andrew.
and this is the Teo-logy podcast. So, question for you, Andrew. Do you think it is healthy if a couple never fights?
I think it depends. I think it's really cool that one person can come together, two people can come together and get married and never fight. But the context is, are they not fighting because they are so aligned in everything that they see eye to eye in everything? Or are they not fighting because they just want to avoid chaos and shouting at each other, and so they sweep every issue under the rug? If it is the latter, then I'll say it is totally unhealthy. If it's the former, then I'll say it never exists. It doesn't exist, yeah.
Like 100% alignment, right?
Oh yes, I had no way, man. Yeah.
Okay.
Unless you're Jesus and the Father and the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, and I think before we start, we better talk about what fighting means to us as we discuss it. So how would you define fighting? Is it, someone has to raise their voice to be able to count it as fighting, or like just a small disagreement, does it count as fighting? How would you define fighting?
For me, there are at least two criteria. The first criteria is that a fight happens when there is a clash of values. So when I say clash, right, it is more than just different values. It goes head on. And when the clash happens, it makes someone upset or someone is offended. And I think that's what counts for me as a fight. So when there's no clash, just different values. So let's just say a simple petty different value would be, you prefer to press the toothpaste from the top and I prefer to press it from the bottom. That is a preference value. It is not a core value. And because it's just preference, I would not find it worth the effort and the energy to want to fight over it. But to fight over it is to say there's a sense of injustice that I want to see right. So there's this whole concept of someone is wrong, someone is right, kind of a thing. Yeah. Okay.
I will go by that definition, and very likely there are couples who really do fight about toothpaste, and we can unpack about why as well.
If we have the time, by all means.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a very interesting topic. We're going to talk about how we fight and stuff that we have learned through the process. I'm personally quite nervous about this topic.
Why you are nervous?
Well, it's a very personal topic, right? And sometimes you're a bit scared, like that you overshare, and of course it's being very vulnerable. So yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I think we'll be intentionally careful also, because we want you to follow in with our growth, right? We say that, but sometimes too much can be scary. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, but how do we address this topic? So how do you think we want to go through talking about this topic today?
So our flow today, I think, will be good where we have really begun giving the definition of what a fight is in our context, right? I think for us, we'll begin with number one, our most recent fight.
Okay.
Yeah. Then number two, we then share our biggest fight together. And then number three, we're going to share our petty fights. And in those sharing, we'll probably share how we resolve it. And then towards the end, we will draw our personal reflections and insights based on how we fight, to distill them into clearer points rather than narratives. And then I think that should be for today.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's get going. So what was our most recent fight? Maybe I can share about that.
Sure. Yeah.
It happened two weeks ago, two or 3 weeks ago.
Two.
Yeah. And don't need to talk about the details, but I remember saying to you that I'm sick of this behavior of yours. And I actually pointed my finger, see, this is the behavior that I'm sick of.
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think what happened to me was I was so offended. That was the line she chose to use. That we were doing a thing together, and I said, let's just get this done. And I didn't want to bring it up. at all. I just want to get it over with.
Yeah. And throughout the day, so I did apologize at some point, but throughout the day, as we went through the day, you'll say things like, I'm still not ready to talk about this yet, and we'll do other stuff.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
So what will happen is she would just say, "Oh, Andrew, I'm sorry, I ran you down," and then I'll say, "Noted, but I don't want to talk about it yet. I'm not ready." So it took me a whole day, which is actually not my characteristics. Usually I'll discuss it straight away, which I think we'll unpack later lah. But I paused for a while and just to think what are the right words that I need to use. And then somewhere towards the evening, then we started talking it out.
You said like, okay, I'm ready to talk about it now.
Yeah. Then I had to relay from my point of view what came to my mind and why I did what I did, and why I disagreed with her at that point. And then after that, she had to share in that point why she shot back at me. And do you remember how we resolved the issue?
To be honest, I don't think we came to a very, very big conclusion. But I think what we worked out was that we did have certain behaviors that each other did not like. And we acknowledged that change doesn't happen overnight. And that we have to be okay with still living with those behaviors. So like being okay with the other party or showing grace to the other party for still having nasty behaviors, but on our own individual self was a bit of a, at least I will try. I will try to change, and hopefully sometime later it will be better. But for now, it's okay, we will just learn to live with it.
And right off the bat, I can already feel, for those who are listening and actually as a couple, they might be thinking, wow, I have to change, just to be able to be with this person. It can sound quite tiring, right? Yeah.
And even like having that conversation to like talk through the conflict, right? And say, this was the part that I wasn't happy with, this was the part that, and this is why. I think it takes a lot of energy, and you kind of need to be in the right state of mind. So if you're like really stressed out from work or doing other stuff, I don't think we can have that kind of conversation.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I think at the end of the day, one of our conclusions is we learn to show grace to one another. Yeah. In fact, which was why I didn't want to say anything at the start, because I was so worried that I would say something more hurtful. Yeah. I don't want to hurt her, you see. Yeah, but that was our most recent fight. So the conclusion was we came off acknowledging where we're at and saying that we'll try and we show grace to one another. Yeah. Now, perhaps then I'll just share so that's fight number 1. Okay, now fight number 2, which is our worst fight, is I got married to Yan Ping unbeknownstly, not knowing. I don't know whether it's the right word. She had struggled with church trauma. Yeah. And while as a boyfriend at that time, I understood that there was such a struggle, I failed to understand how deep that struggle was. And when we got married, and I'm someone who is serving in church, right, and all that, what happened was I asked Yan Ping a very, very tiny favor, right? And she said no. And that was when I like error 404. I didn't understand why. I couldn't brain why like any Tom, Dick and Harry could have done it. But perhaps you then share why it was a trigger for you.
Yeah, I think I took a while to process some of the things that I went through. So I went through burnout and stuff like that. And I realized that a lot of it was me feeling obligated to do a lot of things when I wasn't in the capacity to do so. So I came out of it with the kind of renewed, like, I will only do things if I feel like it, or I'm able, I have the mental capacity, strength to do so. And I will not do it, even however small it is, just because I feel like there's no one to do it. And I think it was okay when we were dating, but once we got married, what I realized is that I kind of treated him as me, treated Ezreal as me, and Ezreal was serving like left, right, center, right, very actively. And I kind of projected him on myself, and I saw him as, oh, that was me, you know, having to do all those different stuff, which was a trigger point that got me upset that, you know, it shouldn't be the case.
Was there any moment where not just that you projected that was me, or the fact that, oh, okay, but now I'm married to Ezreal means I will eventually have to enter the same trauma all over again?
Probably, yeah.
So here's where I say I didn't see this coming, right? So as usual, every fight we have, we will always unpack it together.
Yeah.
But this time around, it was a different unpacking.
Yeah, we couldn't see reason. Like, I was trying to explain to him, this is why I can't do it even though it's so small. And for him was like, but it's just this, you know?
Yeah, I'm not asking the world of you, and I would never ask the world of you. And if I ever become a pastor, so to say, right, as a pastor's wife, I was saying stuff like, oh, you know, I will not put any of this expectation on you.
Yeah, and I was going, but this is the very thing that you're putting the expectation on me to do.
Yeah. So there was that kind of thing. And what happened after that was, well, the memory is slightly fuzzy to me, but I had it really. I was like, oh, I just asked this one thing because there was no one else to do it, you know. And I said, if you don't do it, then fine lah. And then, as I was explaining it, so you heard Yan Ping's voice, right? Very bassy.
Very bass voice.
Yeah, very bass. Very like, if you an old man, you probably wouldn't hear a certain decibel.
And sometimes Zoom cannot pick up my voice if I'm sitting in the wrong angle.
Exactly. And then it was lunchtime, where all of a sudden her voice reached 180 decibels. I made the number up, by the way. I do not know what's the number, but basically a high-pitched screech at my face, right? Do you remember the line that you screeched out? Yeah. And so she screeched in my face a particular line, something along with "that's why ... and she wept in front of me.
Yeah.
Right. So how do you resolve something like that? Right? You don't. I can't. Now I have to clarify this. So it was at this moment where, when I saw her tears, I think that's when I really melt and calm down lah. Right? I think Yan Ping knows that's a weak point of me, but she doesn't use it purposely against me. Is that fair to put it that way? Yeah. She will only use tears when it genuinely supposed to bring out tears. And then that's where I know, like, okay. I'm definitely saying something wrong. I'm crossing the line somewhere. I need to really pause right now. So the tears made me pause. And by the way, we have multiple moments of fights, right? Obviously, we cannot share every single detail. You want to come visit us, sit us, we'll share. And I just quickly went to hug her. And I said, hey, would you want to consider seeing a professional counselor? Yeah. Now, I say this not in the context where I am saying, oh, I have no capacity to deal with it. No, this is not my problem. Rather, I'm acknowledging it has came to a level where, because I didn't see it coming and the intents just increased from 0 to 100, I didn't have the skill or ability to have dealt with that. And both of us caught on immediately, and so we sought a counselor. And by God's grace, I think the trauma is like almost close to single digit if you're measuring out 100. It's been such a wonderful season. It took you about 1.5 years of multiple sessions to see. And we are so grateful for, if you're watching this, thank you so much for joining Yan Ping. And so yeah, that was our worst fight. And by worst fight, it came to the moment where we realized, okay, this is beyond us. Yeah. Now, for the third fight, round number 3, maybe you share what are some of petty fights?
I think they're, not to say every day, but the day-to-day small stuff or things that you don't even expect. So one very funny type of petty fight that we have or had was through playing games. So we discovered that we enjoy doing things together, and one of the hobbies that we tried doing together was playing video games. But Edgel's quite competitive in his games whether video or otherwise. And I did not grow up with much video games. Definitely not the kind where it's in 3D and you gotta like move the joystick.
Two analog sticks.
Yeah. So I was really noob. I was like, games for dummies 101 kind of level, and he usually aces any game that he plays.
Oh yeah, it's all coming together.
And we were playing a lot of collaborative games, which was really fun to play as a couple. But what it meant is you needed two equally, or you needed the capabilities of both people to be able to win the game.
Yeah, and the game we literally was playing was called It Takes Two.
Yeah. And so what will happen will be he will be way ahead, and then he has to wait for me to like figure out how to even walk straight.
Yes, I'll be right there. So I'm right here, and she'll be turning around, where, and she'll get dizzy just moving the analog.
And then he'll be like, walk straight. And then I'll be like, you think I don't want to walk straight? I'm trying to walk straight. I'm trying so hard. And what happened was, at the end of the game, I just broke down and cried. And we had to do a whole like debrief
session
over just a game.
Yeah.
But I think we learned some things from that game.
I think if I remember correctly, so it started with you're making a pouting face. So when she makes a pouting face, you know the tears is coming, but she's trying her best not. And so what I would do is I'll say, it's okay, just slay it all out. Right? And then she kind of thing. And I think because she's crying, then I had to debrief, right?
Yeah.
So I think I started with an apology. I said, sorry if things got a bit too intense. Yeah, and let's go step by step, I will say. Perhaps I ask, so the debrief goes literally analyzing every step by step. Then I will say, what was your struggle? Then she'll explain, and then from there, she'll then ask me any reason why I raised my voice. Yeah, and I will say, I think cause within the moment of the game, it gets too intense. Monsters are chasing you, right? I think you're very into the moment lah. Yeah. So although it's not real world, you semi feel the intensity and you don't want to die in the game and all that.
Yeah.
So you want to like get your partner up to speed before we all die out. Like palika, you know.
Yeah, but I also feel like the game is a very good simulation of real life, like when the stakes are higher and when you need both people equally invested in getting things done, and your expectation, or when your partner is not living up to what is needed, how do you react to it, right?
Oh yes, definitely. Yeah, and I realized in this case, It Takes Two is, as much as we raise at each other's our voices, we will never get to the goal until we really learn to slow down and pace with one another. So after that debrief session, it got so much better, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so whenever she dies, I'm like, it's okay, dear. Let's try it again. Let's try that again. Then,
or like, I'll just wait here.
Because I realized when I raise my voice, no matter how justified I am, she freezes up.
Yeah.
So it's
and
like,
then I cannot play.
Yeah, even
at
better.
all.
Yeah. She performs even worse.
Yeah.
So I'm like a rhino when she's like a armadillo porcupine. She just curls up, right? And so I have to really guide her and come her. Oh, move this toggle to the left a bit. There you go. See, I mean it, by the way. I wasn't being sarcastic. I'm not sure whether I was sarcastic, but I don't think so. But I was thinking it'd be funny that through these petty fights, we were thinking whether one day we can create a conflict transformation modules for couples where they purposely play the game. We record them and then we debrief together, and then we teach them certain points lah.
Yeah.
So yeah. Wow. Okay, so we've gone through our most recent fight to show you that we still fight. We've gone through our worst fight to say, hey, yes, we've been there. And then we go through our petty fights, even the little things we still fight. So if anything, right, would you call us unhealthy? Yeah.
Leave in the comments.
Yeah, leave in the comments lah. Yeah, then perhaps maybe you can share. So now we're going to do the distillation process. Okay, so both of us are going to share our certain insights on how we go about fighting. whether you think is fighting well, you can comment below that it is fought well, or you can say that, or you can share in your comments below how you guys fight. I think that'd be really helpful for whoever wants to listen in lah. Yeah. So, what are some points that you yourself caught on?
I think you mentioned a little bit about it at the start, but basically realizing that when two people fight, it's not about, I like yoga, you like football or whatever, but it's a clash of values. So it's something deeper than that, and you got to figure out, when you talk it through, you got to figure out what is that difference in values. So for example, if we're doing something and you want to get it done fast and I am slow, why are we fighting over it?
Yeah.
I think what we realize is you really value time, and I value getting things done properly. So if it's not the right time to do it, then I will sit on it and wait it out. So what is that value? Even though I don't have the same value as you at that moment, can I understand that is a value that you hold? Yeah,
and I agree, because when you fight, sometimes the moments get so heated that you do not know. So both of us will meet at point X, but we didn't know where was her point A and where was my point B. And when we meet together, it can get a bit confusing. So I have to sit down and say, just to be clear, I said, when you said this, right, does it show that you value this? And then if I have identified point A and she has identified my point B, the question is whether there's such a thing of an A/B point where we can meet, or point C where we can both agree on. And I think that's how we fight. And when we agree on point C, every time X happens again, and it's because of A and B, we'll move to point C immediately without needing to fight all over again, because we have understood each other's value system.
And sometimes what you can achieve is finding something that both value together, but if you can't, then sometimes it's working out the intensity of the value for each other. So for example, if I value getting things done well and you value getting things done fast, how important is that fast for you versus how important is that well for me? Can I let the well slide a little bit because the fast is so important for you at this moment?
Or vice versa. Yeah, or I will add another layer. It is that if point A and B cannot meet in terms of value, what is the greater value that holds both of the person together? Yeah. So for example, let's just say she likes to, she likes to press the toothpaste everywhere, and I like to press the toothpaste from the bottom, right? So that preference can communicate a deeper value, which is more on me. For her, is I just need to brush my teeth.
No, for me is...
fastest way possible.
No, for me is if you press from the bottom, the toothpaste won't stand because the center of gravity is bad.
Yeah, but for me, because you're already leaning, so it's fine, doesn't matter. And for me is, if you press from the top, then it gets so messy, unorganized, that if you press from the bottom, it's the most efficient and the most toothpaste you can get out of it.
Yeah, because you can roll it
all the way to the end. Yeah. And so obviously I'm not gonna, so in that sense I value order and she values center of gravity. What is the greater value that holds us together, that doesn't need us to break apart? I love her. She's a Christian. She supports me in my ministry. That kind of value over toothpaste, of course those things win. So greater value that both of us hold on to. I think that's nothing. I think I'll add one more thing, then you can supply your thoughts. I think in the game of marriage, you have to remember that there are no winners and losers. The moment there's a winner in the marriage, then the marriage has lost altogether. What I mean by that is that the goal of a marriage, the game of marriage, so games, right, you either win or lose or how you play the game. So basketball, you play basketball together, there is a winner, there's a loser, there's a rules that are applied. Marriage, the goal of marriage is not to win. The goal of marriage is to prolong the marriage as long as possible. Same goes with friendship, Same goes in education. So the big picture kind of games, right? There's no such thing as winning education. You can win in your SPM results. You get 12 A's and all that. But education is lifelong learning. See, so the mindset. So in a marriage, if I'm winning and she's losing, we have lost the game of marriage altogether, because the goal of marriage is to prolong how we pace with each other. And it's with that mindset that I enter into marriage life. So you have any other additional thoughts?
So we initially talked about value, so working out what's the value behind the conflict. Second was realizing that we're both on the same team. We're not fighting against one another, and if one person loses, both loses.
Yeah.
But the third, I think, is really breaking it down in terms of communicating step by step when a conflict happens. So you want to break down what you say.
Yeah, I think I like how you said it's all about communication. So fighting well is how you talk it out and how you express those emotions. So the emotions, I call it like a metric, a measurement of the intensity of the situation. They are not there to dictate how you're going to speak to the person. So let's just say I am angry. The anger informs me that a value has been crossed. The anger does not give me permission to lash out. But if I did lash out in that moment, because just be real, we're all humans, then that lashing out then becomes a clue for me to slow down and take a step back. Yeah, so I'm a rhino. I'm the kind of guy that when the fight happens, right, I cannot stand it. I need to solve it out immediately. But anyway, more that.
Actually, on that point, maybe you want to unpack a little bit about what's a rhino and a porcupine.
Sure.
So, in marriage counseling, this is what we learned, that different people fight differently. So some people are the rhinos, where if there's something that is an issue, they want to settle it as soon as possible. So they'll rhino through. Whereas some people, like me, they're a bit more porcupiney. So when there's a conflict, the first thing we do is we actually huddle up and close up. And if you try to poke more, the spikes will actually come out. How that happens with me is because when I know that the emotions, which Andrew was talking about, the emotions are boiling, I know I will say the wrong thing. So I need to go away and cool down and wait for the emotions to die out. Then only I can talk to you and be sure that I won't regret all the things that I'm going to say.
Yeah. And I'm someone that will have no peace if an issue is not resolved, you see.
But I feel like of later days, he's more able to calm his rhino down, like for better word, like the first example that we gave, right? The most recent fight. He actually waited the whole day to talk about it.
Yeah.
How did you change?
Yeah, so I think because a rhino has no peace if the issue is not resolved, the big difference now is we're married.
Okay.
So the peace comes in the fact that if I know the time is not right, I don't need to resolve it now, because we're in a team. No matter how bad things goes, she'll stick by me. So, but knowing that, I now have the brain space to solve it by really thinking through my words and not necessarily be hurtful. Yeah, because the pressure, before that we were not married, right? So I'm so afraid that, if I don't solve this now, will she break up with me and all that kind of thing. But now, no. So it gives me the courage to just chill for a while.
That's nice. Yeah, I think a couple of things that we have learned along the way, and also through like the premarital course, right, was certain words. So try not to be so absolute in what you're saying. For example, don't say you always or you never, and put it in our perspective. So when you said this, I felt that.
Yeah, to communicate where we're at. Which brings us back to the emotions bit. Yeah, so thank you for the segue. I thought it was very helpful. But I think, so once the emotions then become the metric by which you are told, okay, something is off and we need to pause. So that becomes clue number one. And so we take it easy. And it happens every day. The moment you lash out at your partner, that's a clue already. So then from them, either of us will have to take the initiative. And it depends on the situation. Sometimes you have to slow me down. Did you see that just now? Do you catch yourself saying that? And I have to yes, I did. And it takes a lot of humble pie to it, and vice versa. I'll point out to her, dear, do you notice that? And she's like, yes. Yeah. So then the next thing is to then do the debrief. So let's then analyze the moment. So catch yourself in the heat of the emotions, and I'll say, why did you feel that way? And then they comment, I felt that way because this and this happened. Then the next question is so it's literally going exegeting every moment. Right? What about this moment that affected you? Then it's because I felt this way when you said this. Then it gives me so this is what you felt. Then I'll get the chance to clarify. Oh, when I said this is what I meant. To which then option ABC will come out. Oh, she can either go like, or I can go like, oh yeah, so thank you for saying that. I finally understand. Sorry for misunderstanding. Or even then, right? I felt it shouldn't have been said this way. Or it still feels hurtful. And when she communicates that way, for example, then I know it's not really on me, but rather something that she has experienced before that I need to be more wary, right? And because marriage is a team, I don't go like, your pasa lah. You cannot deal with your issue now. I say, oh, okay, noted. So love never fails. Love erases all wrongs. Love doesn't keep a record of wrongs. So I don't hold it against her because she is my partner in crime. Now it becomes more of she has given me another context of a parameter that, so she's still struggling with this issue. I'll be more aware to not talk about it. So this is how we go line by line. And from there, communicate where we are at, communicate how to move forward. So I always end in our fights, right? We will always end. We don't say, oh, now that I understand better, because then will just be an unnecessary safe space. And what I mean by unnecessary is like, oh, now you understand me, I can be whoever I want to be.
NANI?
Apologize, I have no idea what the sound was. Holy Spirit. Okay, I can be, we cut it out. Yeah.
Just repeat your sentence.
Now that I understand better, it gives me the parameters or the context on where to meet her, where she's at. Not for me to say, hey, your pasa lah, you know, your own problem okay, I didn't know when I married you. Then that's me making a winner and a loser. And when I make it that way, right, here's the thing. So she, being in the wrong, will find it unable to fight back to me, but she'll feel like something's so off. Because a marriage is not supposed to have a winner or a loser. But rather a grace of a redemptive space that go, okay, now that we know. And so the question then I'll add is, how do we move on from this? So it gives us a goal setting for us to reach to that goal. Yeah, and it could be either, next time when this happens, I will make a list, or I will slow down, or you give me permission to call me out. Anything. But the goal is within the marriage to move forward. Yeah. And there are times when we will say, oh, I don't think I can swallow this, or I regret even asking these questions. And that honesty does help. And we are able to be as honest again with one another because of our view of marriage is there is no winners or losers. So if we are not honest with one another, then we are going to pull the marriage down. And I think that's a good reminder. So we have to constantly communicate where we're at. Some of you might go, wow, this is so much effort. I think that's the right amount of effort.
Yeah, it is definitely a lot of effort. It's getting around the fact that the effort is worth it.
Yeah. To the point where I'm able to make this statement that now she's my best friend, my partner in crime. She'll journey with me and we work well. And you know what? Heaven on earth. When your wife is for you, you see, rather than I dread coming home, both of us long to see each other the first sight. Yeah, because we have learned to fight well, so much so that we want to fight together at any moment. So I always tell couples when they say, oh, how do you know she's the one? Young people and all that asking, right? Many people want to find the one, someone that they can be happy with for the rest of their life. I said, no. Find someone whom you're willing to fight with for the rest of your life. Yeah.
Yep.
You got anything on that, Ed?
No, I think that's a good final line for our session for today. Fighting well or fighting as a couple is, it's something that will be throughout your whole marriage, and find someone that you're willing to fight with
Yeah.
for the rest of your life. So maybe we can end here.
Yeah. So that's it for now.
This is Teo-logy Podcast.
Till next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.